From Los Angeles and Nashville, get ready to go behind the scenes with Entertainment Dudes.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Entertainment Dudes.
Entertainment Dudes.
Dudes that are so entertaining that we wiggle to make sure you stay entertained. I'm entertained already. Holy cow. Oh, keep
okay.
It going, Cam. I want to get my popcorn.
This is week 2.
Yes, with Parker Hensley. The first week, if you didn't catch what we're talking about all the different paints and things that you can do when you're creating costumes and even sets for movies. And he might end up doing some sets. I don't know. We'll find out. But if you missed the first week, you want to check that out. And also kind of what goes into it, what kind of person you have to be. So we got Parker on for the second episode of
Parker.
Yes, so I think we should bring him in and see
I think so. Let's bring him in.
Yes. Hello, Parker.
Hello.
Are you guys entertained?
Entertainment Dudes.
Are you entertained yet?
Man.
Or do you
I'm
feel entertained? I feel entertained.
So,
yes,
are you guys entertained?
oh yeah, I'm entertained. You entertained?
I am very entertained. Cam,
I'm
are
very
you
entertained.
Yes.
Yes,
How about you,
I
Parker? Are you entertained?
I'm
Great.
entertained, all right.
Okay.
I'm entertained. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's jump right into this. What is the most difficult part of what you do?
Oh boy. People dealing with people.
That's probably it. To be honest, dealing with other people, I think that's the hardest part. Man, that's tough. I feel like everything about it's hard, but I feel like knowing how to fix stuff is a big thing because when stuff goes wrong, it's definitely that's where the whole boat starts to sink a little bit.
Now, do you take advice from Bob Ross? Happy little accidents, or does it just like completely
if it's
start
a personal project, I will take it as a happy little accident. But if it's professional, it's usually like this is a fuck up. We got to start over now.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
But especially if it's like a paint reacts wrong or like there's a chemical reaction and we have to start all the way over. Usually that's like one of the harder things to fix, just because it just takes knocks time off. It's the biggest thing. And
How many times have you had your paint explode?
How's my paint exploded? Funny story, actually.
Okay.
I remember in the shop we had just gotten this gallon of red paint for a project. Took it to our spray booth and I was mixing some up, and I dropped it and spilled a gallon of this red paint all over myself.
Oh,
I was in pants,
man.
but the pants and the shirt were ruined.
Toast.
And I was so mad.
I bet that stuff's not cheap either.
Oh, no, it's not. No, it is not. No, it is not.
You're like, well, there goes $400. Great. Lovely.
I wouldn't say this is hard, but masking is definitely one of the most tedious parts of the paint process.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What tape do you use for that?
Well, we use tons of tape. I prefer Tamiya. Tamiya is the best tape. It's a little bit softer. It's not going to affect the paint too much.
Okay.
But definitely it's just a patience game.
Notes.
Yeah, I'm writing down right now. What are some of the things that you have to do in order to keep the paint from like leaking under or getting a big ridge line along, where you're doing this? How do you?
That's all just making sure you don't spray too much paint out of your gun usually or airbrush. It's especially when masking stuff, you have no idea what it's going to look like until that tape comes off. So it could look really nice.
Wow.
Or you could have a paint drip underneath or a ridge line. It's definitely, I wouldn't say it's the hardest, but it's definitely one of the more stressful parts because that's the make it or break it. And you could even peel paint off underneath with the tape. That's heartbreaking sometimes. We just have to
underlayers.
We have to mask off an area, repaint it.
Right.
Yeah. Usually you can get away with ridge lines and stuff, especially on screen, because you'll never, ever, ever notice that stuff. Hardly ever.
No, but if it's a live event, they'll notice. Like when people close.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But
what's one of the most rewarding parts about your process? What do you like the
seeing
most?
it done? Seeing it done is very rewarding, especially when it's done right. Usually we'll take photos of our professional projects in the shop for just files and keeping track of everything. And sometimes we'll send them out to directors so they can see it, or producers. That is the best part, seeing it on camera and seeing like, oh my God, we did this. That is the coolest part.
And it's ours.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like we made this. Or sometimes, not all the time, we usually get photos back from set, from the props or costumes or creature on set, and it could be a photo or a video. That is also really rewarding to see. That's the
You're
best
like, they're
part,
there, it's there,
because
it's
it's just
there.
like,
Yeah.
oh my god, this is it, like doing its thing.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
cool.
One of the nice things about this job and about this industry is that you never do the same thing twice.
Oh no, hardly ever, unless you're on like a
unless it's
constant
arms,
show.
unless it's sleeves,
Unless
for,
it's sleeves when you're doing 40 of them. Or I will say makeups get repetitive too. Makeups are super, super repetitive. Makeup appliances can get super
Do
repetitive.
you do those too, or no?
I feel like I'm more suited towards hard surface stuff. I dabble in
Uh-huh.
organic sometimes, but I'm definitely
Right.
not the best at it. I'm not someone you should take advice from it, because I'm still learning myself. And even with the hard
Yeah.
surface stuff, I feel like there's plenty of other painters out there that are much more skilled, much more qualified than me, because I'm still fairly new to a lot of this. But I feel like they're just different. Organics are definitely it's a totally different style of painting, which is what's harder. Like, while hard surface is mostly like keeping very straight, clean lines, very perfect surfaces, usually organics is the exact opposite, where you're very loose, very random. It's definitely it's different. That's the best way I could describe it.
Yeah, it's like skin, even if your own arm, how many different types, like colors, and how it blends, and how, like, even freckles or everything. It's just different. It's random.
I hope that doesn't discourage anyone from trying it, because I feel like there's definitely aspects from organics that I bring into hard surface painting, especially with weathering, and definitely stuff from hard surface I'll take in the organics sometimes. But
yeah, well, because isn't the weathering is actually that form of chaos? Because with skin, with organics, you don't know that's what you get, but with weathering, weather does the same thing to a non-organic item over time. It scrapes it, it blocks it, it sands it. It's
totally it's not perfect. It's very rarely perfect.
Yeah,
what
sort
advice
of brings chaos to it.
What advice would you give to somebody looking into your line of work?
That's tough.
Say the next kid painting the figurines.
The next kid painting,
painting his Warhammer.
Oh, that's cool. Don't give up. No matter what anyone tells you, if you can't do it, always strive to try and reach that goal. And I feel like when you get to that point in the job, it's gonna end up becoming work. Don't lose that kid inside you that still wants to paint miniatures. As weird as that sounds, my dad told me that. Because I feel like if there's a part of the job you can still enjoy, even after, 40, 30, 20 years on the job, then you're doing it right. But big things, don't give up. Don't stop practicing. Practice. Make connections. I mean, Instagram, I've met so many people that go to other shops and paint there, and I've made connections through that.
Yeah.
But it's all about just keeping up practice and making connections, and eventually you'll get that position you want. I feel like I'm not the wrong guy to ask, but I feel like I got in so easy that it's almost like I'm not going to have the same experience as the guy next to me or anyone else in the shop for that matter when it comes to getting the job. But I feel like it's definitely making connections and just keeping your skills in check.
Yeah, and staying in the job and loving what you do.
Oh, totally,
right? I mean, yeah. That's amazing.
At the end of the day, if you don't, it's not for everyone, to be completely honest. It's definitely, I feel like a lot of people enjoy painting. They will go into that shop aspect and they will hate it. They will not like it at all. And it's definitely, it could be a wake-up call sometimes, because you're going.
Yeah, isn't it the difference between it being something you do for passion and something for fun, and then versus something you do for work?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. It's fun for the first 2 to 6 months, and then it becomes work real quick.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I don't want to do this right now. I don't want to paint. And then it ruins that hobby for you. So another thing, get other hobbies besides painting if you want to do it professionally.
Yeah, that's true.
You're going to get sick of painting after a while.
Yeah, that's right. So when you're working on a paint job, I can visualize a story and I picture it in my head and I'm working towards that end goal. Do you have reference drawings? Do you come up with the ideas? How do you know that you're headed in the right direction?
Like with cosplay stuff or professional stuff?
How about either? Well, cosplay, it's your vision, right? But let's do both, because the cosplay, you're the end all, and then in professional, you're working for someone else's idea.
Usually professional will have a piece of concept art and they're like, match it to this exactly. Colors, stuff. And if they want to change anything, they'll notify us about it. And that's basically what we're working off of, is usually some artwork that's made in-house or out of house. But for cosplay stuff, especially my original paint jobs, I just come up with it on the fly usually. I just look at the helmet. I try and figure out, okay, what color do I want it? Do I want it dirty? Do I want it clean? Do I want lights in it? What texture do I want? Like that.
Yeah.
But I usually have an inspiration for each one. Like that one was inspired by the Ironmonger from Iron Man 1. That was my main inspiration on it. There's ones that are inspired from Dune and like Halo and all sorts of stuff. There's one that's inspired off a rusty car. I'm not even joking.
Really?
Cool.
Oh yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things my dad taught me, is using real world inspiration for paint jobs, and it helps a ton. Because what better way to make something look lived in and realistic by using something that's lived in and realistic?
That's great.
So I mean, I have photos of tons of old cars, or World War II tanks, or old planes, anything that like has had real world use. I use as reference all the time for everything.
How do you do weathering?
That's tough. I usually keep it. There's so much stuff you can do with it though, but I mean, usually it's just washes. It's washes, and it's usually just black and brown, and then acrylic paint. Honestly, I don't use anything crazy.
Yeah, and then it's just the layering and texturing, and sort of like just like painting. Yeah,
it's pretty much painting.
Yeah. Well, I imagine that you probably enjoy the combination of doing cosplay and then working for others, because in cosplay you get to kind of you create with your ideas about how you want to paint it, and it's sort of that where you actually probably will learn a lot of techniques that you can apply.
Oh, totally.
I imagine
I'm learning stuff new every day about painting techniques and what can look good and what works, and I'm definitely taking those ideas and throwing them back and forth between cosplay and professional prop making and suit making. It's a fine balance, to say the least.
What are your favorite materials to work with?
Ooh, I like resin casts the most. I feel like that's just simple. It's easy to go with. I don't like painting flexible stuff, but professionally, you have to do that more often.
Right.
I don't like prints very much, just because it's a lot of sanding, and I don't like sanding. I don't think anyone likes sanding.
I think in any line of work you're in, whether it's woodworking or prop making or whatever, everybody hates sanding the most.
Yeah.
It is the most vile thing.
Drywall, building a house, doing a deck, you're sanding. It's horrible.
Sanding, no.
It is. It's the dirty work, but it's necessary to make something look good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if Elon Musk was going to design something that his robots could do, the very first thing I would program is sanding. Like that's
sanding.
I would buy one of those robots instantly. I would absolutely. Yep, instantly. Yeah. But I definitely prefer usually either resin casts or resin prints. Resin prints are just easier to sand than a filament.
Oh
print.
Yeah. Like you can have so much more fine detail in a resin print than a Oh yeah. I mean,
filaments are nice for like bigger things, but I feel like for most things I prefer a resin print. But casts are the way to go.
Is fiberglass the type of resin, or is that something completely separate?
Fiberglass backed helmets are also really nice. Just different primers and stuff for each one. I like resin casts for stuff at home. They're durable. They're not gonna break real easily. They're real strong. Fiberglass are tough. Those are, if you want a really nice helmet that won't break, that's the way to go.
If you plan on shooting it in the movie, then fiberglass is the way to go.
Yep. Fiberglass is the way to go.
We're going to need these bullets to ricochet off his chest. Fiberglass.
Not the way to go. I mean, unless you're throwing it off of like a 2-story building, it'll be fine.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. And then plastic is just, so do you ever use foam core at all? I know in cosplay that's a use, but do they use that in movies at all?
I don't think so. I feel like that's a no. I feel
that's like a big no way.
Kind of like a big no way, just because it's very obviously foam most of the times.
Yeah,
this isn't going to be an insult. I'm trying not to make this an insult on cosplay. It's very cosplay-y,
Understood.
in a way.
Right.
Understood. Yes.
And they don't want that. They want to look like the real deal. So it's usually a flexible urethane or just anything flexible, really. A rubber, maybe.
Yeah. Some of my favorite costumes I've ever seen, and one that just literally blows my mind, is a Wasp on Ant-Man and Wasp.
Ooh, that's a good costume. I like that
Oh
one.
my gosh, it's so spectacular. The way that the intricacies of that material, they even custom made the fiber that they wear, and then her wings, like how they open. I was literally floored. I was like, that's not CG. They're like, no, they made those wings, especially for the live event that she had. Like they did like a promo. Have you ever seen the footage from that with the wings? Like I was just, I mean, that's just a masterpiece in my mind.
Watching that scares me, because I know that's like so many hours of work went into that one costume, and it's insane to me.
Yeah, that's so much time. So what did you say are for your 3 top favorite paint jobs you've seen in production? Like your favorites in a film
that I've worked on, or that are like
that you saw, that are like some that are that you like, that you're like, oh my gosh, like Wasp for me. Like
I think Wasp is cool. I feel like I'm going to be biased because I'm going to choose everything Legacy's worked on at this point.
Then do it. That's
do it. Yeah, that's fine.
I think my favorite paint job ever is the Acid Armor Boba Fett from Mando Season 2. I love the way that armor looks, and I'll stand on that hill. I think that's the best. I think that's the best Boba Fett armor, and it's so biased because my dad did it, but I think that's the coolest looking Boba Fett suit, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I just love how dirty it looks. It's perfect. It's the perfect looking armor, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's when you first see him up on the rocks, right? When he shows his
I think it's just iconic, and I was just kind of like, oh my god, this is so cool.
Yeah, and I love how much that juxtaposed to Mando's, whose was like super shiny and gorgeous, and then you have Boba's, which is like beat to snot.
I'm about to drop a hot take. I don't like Mando's chrome armor at all.
Mute him quick. Mute him.
Scandal.
I like the brown armor more. I'm just gonna be honest. The brown armor is my thing. I like
his first. You like what he started with? Then did you remember season 1?
It looks more bounty hunterish, and it feels more lived in and more real world than knight in shining armor, which I get. That's what they were going for. It's just not my thing. I prefer. Even with my cosplays, I prefer them being much more dirty and lived in than brand new, indestructible pieces of armor.
Yeah, I want to show one of these that you and I did some photos with the other day.
Yeah.
So we're going to go back to slide 1 here. I love this thing. It looks lived in. See how he's done the knees. Tell me about this Mando. Does he have a backstory?
Not really. I mean, I just kind of winged it, to be honest. I mean, I bought most of the armor off John. He did most of the work. I pretty much I weathered everything up a little bit more, added some kill stripes. Helmet and jetpack I painted. The knee I painted. Sadly, that helmet is busted, which sucks. I got to fix that. And it's a real tragedy. But I wanted my... Oh, what was that? Sorry.
No, go ahead. I wanted my
my Mando to look much more lived in. I want it to be more breathable. There's no... hip armor at all. There's no pelvis armor. It is pretty much just everything above the waist. That way I can move my legs. I can sit in it. I can jump. I can full sprint in it if I wanted to. I wanted to be able to kind of do stunts in it, but I need more flexible armor to do that because I'm not risking falling in that at all.
No, I like one way. No. I like the kilt thing too, like the way that this looks. It's got a unique look, and I haven't seen that in a Mando. And I think that seems like what's pretty fun about people creating Mandos is that it's really whatever you want it to be, right?
Oh, totally. I love that aspect of it because there's like the only limit to your imagination. You could do absolutely anything with these Mandos or any costume for that matter. That's why personally I really dislike costume fan clubs or groups where they just nitpick every costume. It's like, oh, you can't look like this to join the group. Your costume has to get changed that way. I think that's stupid. I don't think there should be a rule for like, oh, like look at my costume right there. Oh, your knee pad's too low. You can't be in the group now. It's the one thing wrong with it. Everything else looks great, but the knee pad's too low. I hate that. What if I want the knee pad too low? You know?
Right.
Yeah. And Mandos are like that. They're an eclectic group of sort of just
totally. After the season 3 Mandos, they are all like in a good way disheveled. They are
exactly.
Not, like, anyone can make a Mando now, you know, and I love that.
Yeah, I like it. Looked like they just found parts lying around. It's like, well, my kneecap got blown off a while back.
Yeah, let me get that Stormtroopers one, you know.
Yeah, here's a kneecap.
I love that. It makes it feel realistic, you know. because not every
and they're not money too. They're not all like filthy rich. So it's
not every Mando is going to look like Jango Fett or Boba Fett,
right?
And I feel like I like that. I like how there's just differences, and I think it's really limiting to a lot of creators that want to make a really cool Mando costume. It's like they get discouraged because people will judge you. Sorry, people will judge you, or I won't get into this club. Forget the clubs. Forget what people think. Do what you want to do. It shouldn't.
Especially if you're doing a Mando. If you want to be one of the club, then Stormtrooper maybe is your way to go.
I feel like that's
that one's pretty standard. If you
that's pretty standard. It's pretty hard to mess up a Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
But I feel like I think a big thing for me is I don't take criticism very well. I feel like, and that's something I need to work on for sure, especially with like prop making, because I know there's even if it makes something kick ass, there's going to be someone that doesn't like it,
and
which is very totally, and it's very hard to not take that personally as an artist, where it's like, oh, I dislike what you did, and it's like, okay, fine, I don't like you anyways,
Yeah, I don't like you. All I said is I don't like your art. Well, I don't like you.
Yeah, so totally. No, it's very, especially you have to be a professional about it. You can't take it personal. But I feel like there's a lot you can learn from other people too. That's why I'm in a group chat with a bunch of other painters, and usually I'll send them photos before I post it on my page. Like, oh, what do you guys think about this? How do you think this looks? Do you think I should change anything? I like getting other people's input just so I can, have a second eye on a project or a helmet.
Yeah, that's a good point, because there's a gut element to it, like even in directing. So especially as a director, like ultimately it's my vision when I do the project, and what it looks like, it comes back to me, right? I can't blame it on you as the painter if it doesn't turn out right. Yeah. So there's always that back of your mind second guess thing that's like, maybe not, maybe, or I go farther the other way where I'm like, I'm right, it's good. This is how we're going to do it. And, I think it is striking the balance about saying, like, I understand that there are other ideas that can improve what I'm working on if I'm open to it. But then I also understand I have to have a confidence in what I finally decide and go with that and believe this is what it's going to be. This is my final decision. And even in painting, I imagine to an extent you have that sort of, I'm open to critiques, I'm open to hearing, but ultimately I trust my gut. This is how it's supposed to go. I know that this is right.
Oh, there's plenty of stuff. There's stuff I can't even talk about where I'm just so nervous to see it on screen, because I know people are going to tear it to shreds once it's out there.
Yeah, but especially in this universe, right?
Oh, yeah. Where everyone's, instantly just like, oh, look at that. Click.
Yeah, snap picture, shared, destroyed everywhere.
That's wrong, But I feel like at the end of the day, for every artist, no matter how many critiques you get, if you like it, that's all that matters in the end. And if you think it looks good.
What is it like for you seeing your work on screen for the first time once you've fished something?
It's the weirdest thing ever, because it's so weird sometimes, like especially on Guardians. That was surreal. Yeah. Because we had spent so much time working on it in the shop, and then seeing it on screen, it's just like, oh my God, all this hard work and it's there, Especially on Ahsoka, the medical droid thing, that really threw me off. Where I was kind of like, "Oh my God, there it is!" Second episode in, I have no clue when these are going to be on. I'm not on set that much, so I mean, pretty much if you go to set, you'll have an idea of where it could be, but it's like a total surprise usually. Sometimes they'll cut it. Sometimes they'll totally cut stuff, and you have no clue if it's in the show or not.
Yeah, it's so funny because Rey was in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Really?
And she got to be a Jedi. She was a Jedi in the temple.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was one of the 3 Jedi that they used for the kill thing, but they cut her shot.
Oh.
So they had the whole shot on her, and Anakin walks up next to her, and he's standing over her and looks down at her and then takes out the kids, and she's right there. So she knows there's shots literally that are wide, epic, sweeping shots where there's like cool. They spent all day long making these beautiful shots and they're not there. Like, and she's not in it. She's like, oh my gosh, it's not there. So she actually even made that her Jedi outfit. She got it custom made. They built the saber.
Oh, wow.
And we're watching the show, and she's like, I'm not there. It's not there. It got cut. It literally, and I was going to be a Jedi in there too. And the night before we were supposed to shoot, I got a wardrobe. I got my sword. I got my saber. I got to pick one. I had the
Oh
boots.
my God.
And
how do you guys get these gigs? I want to get a gig like that.
Yes, I was
being a painter. I want to be on set.
Yes. Well, then the night before, the casting calls and says, "Hey, you know, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to use you. We're still going to use Ray, but you've been cut." And I was like, "Oh, come on! I want."
Oh, you got cut first.
I got cut. I got cut before I even made it into the temple. Like, what kind of cut? Like, cut in half, or was I?
Oh, geez.
Oh, you were dead. You were dead. It's okay. You're there.
I was dead, but I have a picture of me in the outfit that is inside, that is now a part of the entire universe. So I do have a Jedi. Even though I never made it on set, I was like, I do have a Jedi in this Star Wars.
You are now canon.
Yeah, and they pulled all that stuff from the original. They pulled it all from the original trilogy. They still have 1, 2, and 3. They still have those outfits, and so mine was one of the original Jedi outfits that was used before, which I thought was the whole wardrobe. It's a massive haul, and it's all the stuff from 1, 2, and 3. And I was like, oh, it was amazing. It was really amazing. But it sucked to be cut and not be able to go there for that scene. I was like, I was going to get to be in the scene when it happened. Like when he comes down and his cape sweeps and he's like slash, slash, slash.
Killing kids, like, and you're just there. That would have been cool. No,
yeah.
I'm doing a Jedi costume right now for myself.
Oh, which one? Just your own?
Just a random Jedi. I have no clue if I
Rando.
want to make it an alien or if I just want to do a human. Rando Jedi.
Yes. His name is Rando.
His name's Rando. That's his name now.
Rando Calrissian.
Rando Calrissian.
Yeah, we'll do that. He's part Jedi, part Mando. He orchestrates Cloud City. He does everything.
Oh, that's totally gonna be the name now. Rando
Calrissian.
Rando the Jedi Padawan.
He lives in the bottom section of Cloud City.
Yeah.
And one day he hopes. He always tells everyone he's a Calrissian and no one believes him.
Oh god.
He's like, wait till they see. Wait till they see. They'll know.
They'll see someday. I'll ascend to the throne.
You're gonna regret it someday.
Rando. I do love his name is Rando. I always love that whenever you're playing Call of Duty or something online and you get that guy. Who's that guy? I don't know, some rando. And everyone's like, "Hey, Rando." But man, that's awesome. We're almost coming up on our time. I guess we got to a few more closing.
Oh man,
questions.
I gotta talk about the other 2 paint jobs real quick.
Let's hear it.
Interstellar. I love everything from that movie. The spacesuits. Oh yeah, the spaceships and that are awesome. What was the other one?
What about sets? Would you ever paint sets?
That's just so daunting to me, to the point where I'm just like, I don't even know if I could do it, because it's just like a massive thing. There's some massive stuff we did for Ahsoka where I was kind of like, that is huge. How are we going to get this done? A whole set, I think I'd lose my mind. If it was just me, I'd cry. If it was just me, I'd cry. Now, that's one thing. The only thing I will say about Ahsoka is a lot of the stuff that I was a part of. I mean, it really does take a whole village to do this stuff. Like, I feel like everyone thinks, oh, it's just one person. It's like, no, it's like at least during Ahsoka, there was like 80 people in the shop working on it at once.
Wow.
While doing other shows. It's insane.
That's amazing. Insane. It looks impressive from what I've seen already. I mean, it just looks visually impressive.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited, but I'm also so nervous because I'm just kind of like, how are people going to react to some of this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Because there's stuff where it's like, oh, it could be so cool, and then it'll totally backfire and everyone hates it. And that's what gets me nervous sometimes. Where I'm just like,
you're like, all you got to do is hope that something else in the show sucks worse than what you created, and then the focus will be on that.
Oh man! If only.
That's hilarious.
Well, I think you know what's nice though is like you're working on something that people are passionate about. Because a lot of times, a lot of art stuff, no one even notices. It goes by, they don't even see it. But at least in Ahsoka, everyone's paying attention to every detail, and they notice what you're doing, which is
that's what
awesome,
scares
right?
me. That's what makes me really happy, because everyone knows, oh my god, they did that, and then it's like, oh shit, they forgot this.
Oh my god, they did that.
I feel like for every negative comment feels so much more impactful than a positive one.
Isn't that
especially
weird
as
though?
an
Isn't
artist.
that
It's
weird?
very weird. It's
Yeah,
very
Yeah.
weird. But I feel like even for me, like I'm looking through like compared to how many positive comments you get on something versus how many negative. Usually the positives will always outweigh the negative, and I remember those more.
Yeah.
Negatives might suck in the moment. It's like, that sucks, but the positive, you'll remember that for
Mhm.
months, years. You know.
It's also true, especially when like if I've done something and I'm like, it's not the best, it could be better. I feel like it could be better. So I'm hyper aware in this. And when I watch it and I have a bunch of people, it's amazing, it's amazing. And then someone says that, and I'm like, oh, I knew it. Like I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
But I feel like
I knew
there's some stuff we don't even have control over, like time's another thing. A lot of people don't realize we don't have 5 years to make this costume. We have sometimes weeks to make costumes. Those suck.
That's insane.
There was one project where we had from start to finish, I think 2 weeks to do 3 suits.
Good grief.
That was the worst thing I've ever done. Thank God it wasn't just me I was helping, but it was, I think, 3 or 4 of us just nonstop working 10 hours a day pretty much on these suits.
Just to try to get it done. And then still at the end, you wonder, I hope it's good enough. Like, I hope it's good enough. It should be.
I think for the amount of time we did, I'm happy with it. And I think they look great.
Yeah, I think that's what you got to do is like eventually you're like, hey, and the sucky part is you can't tell people, hey, this costume I only had a week to work on. That's why, you can't do that.
At the end of the day, I just got to know we did the best we could. People are going to love it. Yes. Some people are going to hate it, but more people will love it than hate it usually. Mm-hmm. And if I can put my hands down and be like, I did the best I could, I'm happy with it. Yeah. This looks good. Yeah. I could walk away fine. Plus, I'm getting paid, so I don't have any room to
do something I love.
It's a win-win. Awesome. So, where can people some of your work? They want to catch up with you on social.
Ooh, my social is at Parker Hensley. There's some underscores in it, but it should be the first one that pops up. I post pretty much all my personal stuff on there. Some work stuff. It's very finicky with that, what I can say, what I can show.
Right.
But usually any personal helmets like these, I'll post, or any like movie credits or show credits, I'll try and post. Show photos are really kind of on the line a little bit. It's very much either yes or no. Hardcore Star Wars stuff, I am allowed to post like photos from the show, but no BTS stuff. Right. It's very finicky posting professional work, but any personal stuff's on there.
Yeah. Do you sell your stuff, or is it all personal?
Actually, I am doing a line of helmets very soon.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm doing the what's the Inquisitor's name from Ahsoka? I keep forgetting it.
The Inquisitor. The main guy. I don't know yet. I haven't seen it.
Merrick.
I haven't watched the episodes yet.
That's his name. But I'm doing a bunch of those helmets. I'm doing one right now. I'm going to announce a line. They'll probably be like $500, $600 each, but they're going to be high quality props. They're going to be as close to the show as possible. And then I'll probably do a limited run of like 5 at first, and then maybe 5 more later on, just to make some side money. But most of the helmets I have are for sale. It's honestly just getting people to buy them. That's the hard part.
Right. Well, they got to know they exist.
Right. Yeah,
exactly. They got to know they exist. They'll see it and they'll be like, oh, that looks awesome. I want it. Then you tell them the price, and then you never hear from them again.
And they're like, I don't want it that much. You're like, Doug, that took like 2 days to do that. You're like, you realize if I sell it to you the price you want to, I'm making under minimum wage.
No, exactly. It's like especially with these helmets, I need to make a profit. It can't just be like, oh, I'll give you a Mando helmet for $100. No, a Mando helmet's going to be at least. Most of my helmets are at least $500 a piece. Yeah, unless it's like a half mask or something.
It's art.
Yeah,
it's art. It's art. Yeah. And I've seen all the stuff that Ray's done. It's expensive. Like, she has a leather thing for her Ahsoka. That's just that leather. It's all hand gray and garb. It's a $1,300 just for that belt in the front piece, and it's layered leather upon layered leather, and it's engraved and everything, and it's $1,300 for just the belt. Like, the sabers themselves are $4,000. Those sabers they have, the detail into them. So her whole outfit is just one Ahsoka outfit's around $10,000, I think, for the outfit. It's $9,500 or something. So
that's insane. It's like, it costs so much to make those. Even in professional work, some of those suits can cost up to like in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Did you see the ones for Tron? The Tron ones with the inlaid
God.
lights and stuff. Yeah, they were
I-
80 to 90,000 each, and they had like
Nope.
And we're not talking Tron Guy. You've seen Guy
Yeah.
before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Tron guy.
Tron Guy. Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen Tron
He carries
guy.
around the
Guy.
frisbee, and he's got the leotard with the.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, check out Tron Guy. Check out Tron Guy. Yeah,
I think he was in a South Park episode, wasn't he?
I think he was. He was.
He was.
in a
Yeah,
South
that's
Park
how, that's how I figured.
Yes.
That's how I heard about him.
Yes.
I love that episode.
All right, we gotta bring this up. I have a whole new world that's about to open up to me.
Oh,
So Tron guy.
What Tron guy? Write that down. Write that down.
Yes. Oh yes. All right, my man, Parker. Well, thanks for your time, and it'd be great to have you on the show again after the series is done, and maybe we can look at some of the other stuff of your game. We can even do a half hour
break down some stuff. Yeah,
break down what you did on it.
I will talk about whatever you guys want that I cannot break NDA
say until it's
done.
Done.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Take care.
Dude, that's exciting.
Yeah.
There's so many things you could do in film and television. You don't even know exist. Like what? There's someone who just paints all of this.
But I have so much respect for that because in the 3D printing world, paint the stuff you've printed. If you're printing a figure or something like that, it is so hard to get something to look good. And doing that, the sanding and the getting the finish right and the mirror stuff and all that stuff. It's just like I have a huge respect for painters because it is difficult work.
The element too of how different chemicals combine with each other, because sometimes a paint will look really good with something else. So if you try to paint another project with the same thing, it doesn't look right. Yeah.
Or let's try this. Whoops, I wasn't supposed to mix that chemical. So yeah.
Well, that's like our labs growing up.
No, but that's true though. I mean, you can put something over something else, and all of a sudden the first layer just starts to crinkle up. So you got to know the materials you can use, and all that depends on the surface you're using too. So there's just so much to do when you're painting. Like it's crazy. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, in case this is your first time joining us, you can catch us on any of your podcasts. We are on Spotify, we are in YouTube, and we're looking forward to having you join the show. We talk about all things film and television and all things entertainment. And I'm Director Dude, and along with Cam, the voiceover dude.
Yep. And this is Entertainment Dudes.
Another beautiful episode.
I don't know why I just did that laugh.
That was probably my favorite part of the whole
think
show.
so?
Really. No, honestly. No, definitely not. No, Josh. Oh, man.